But yes, so in brief, I would say that's my journey leading up to this point. And probably I should add that so when I was graduating, how I got into entrepreneurship was my Master of Arts thesis was chosen basically at the University of Art and Design Helsinki, which was called at the time, it's now called Aalto University. We had this Master of Arts exhibition, which was very crucial for graduates. If for one time, because you never know, one never knows, and I'm speaking largely here, it's good to prepare on the journey you're going, but one has to be ready for surprises. And when surprises come, you have to, through either experience or consultation, or, you have to make it work for you. It can be that, it comes in form of a disappointment and then you completely ditch your journey and then start something else. No, you have to press on, you have to...
Elements. One, briefly, has there been anyone who said to you that you cannot do that, or like, why are you doing that? It's crazy.
I mean, I had that. I've had that a lot of times, first, of course, not in that way that you can't, when I was young in Uganda, it was more like if I told people that, I'm really interested in art, and if I knew what the word design, like the definition of design, and making things, and like by art, do you mean that you want to draw stickmen? Because that's the idea of art in Uganda, or was it actually at the time. And then when I came here, of course, it's like someone from Africa. It's like, and even now in the world, there are very few designers of color, people of color. So, and then you get like, what, especially in the beginning, like, what, you're studying, you want to be a designer, and then...
Yeah, so very much welcome, Lincoln, to the Inspire Warrior Show, as I call, and welcoming mostly those people who are warriors in their own fields. And I haven't met yet my brother, who is a designer. And I saw your article, was it in New York Times?
Yes.
And I was like, whoa, this is a very important story to share, and I'm very grateful that you were able to visit us and share.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here as well.
Yes, very much welcome. And obviously, we know you're from Uganda. Actually, you're the first East African person to come to this show.
Oh, there's always
So we're covering the zones. I think the most important thing is maybe if you can share a little bit about your background as a Ugandan. Where are you coming from? Where did you come from until you are here today?
So, yes, basically, as you mentioned, my name is Lincoln Kayuwa. I was born in Kampala, Uganda, in 1979. Time has flown, gone by. Really.
Yeah, that's normal.
And I basically my design journey pretty much started from an early age, as far back as I can remember. But I also, traditionally, I went to school. Well, backtrack. I went to school in Uganda until my first year at university. And traditionally, usually parents or guardians prefer their children to be, to become or pursue careers, what are regarded as prestigious careers, meaning doctors, lawyers, so it was, I was a bit lucky in the sense that my father was an architect, and you could say architecture is close to design, although one requires maybe more mathematics, which he preferred me to pursue more. Mm-hmm. But so as far back as I remember, I was drawing. I was curious about opening up, let's say, old radios and, to see how the mechanism is. And I was fascinated by, beautiful aesthetic things. Luckily, I, in one way or the other, stuck to that path. But obviously, it became very apparent to me that I wanted to become a designer, even before I knew that there was a word for design. Because I don't know about other parts of Africa, but when you mention design, one automatically thinks it's fashion design.
That's right.
As compared to and although people are surrounded by aesthetic things and they want the latest phone, or they admire the latest sports car, but still, the difference between craft, as in handicraft, art, and design is very blur. But anyways, I remember that I was the period leading up to my advanced level, which is before university level. So we call it ordinary level. I don't know how you call it. I was in a missionary school, whose focus was the sciences, And although, of course, I had this dream and these aspirations to become a designer, I was very much not forced, but in a way, because I was in these science-based schools, I hadn't gotten, or I didn't get enough opportunity to fully, partake in or focus on design-related, subjects. But luckily, around when I was graduating, we usually have a 6 months period. I got to learn about the school, which was founded by a member of the British Empire. He was also a missionary, but his approach was rather different. He'd introduced, for example, boxing in Uganda. So basically, it was a private school whose focus was on the performing arts and anything that comes with it. Meaning, it could be design, it could be anything creative, but so this rather intrigued me. And then I approached my mother because my father had then passed on, so she was my sole guardian. And I tried to convince her that, this is my path to take and I would need her support in encouraging that. Luckily, she accepted. So I applied to this private school, and then it was 2 years before university. So those 2 years leading to university, I fully got to, confirm that, yes, this is my calling. I got the initial and also continuous input to prepare me for when I started university at the School of Industrial the School of Industrial Arts and Design. So yes, it was clearly, I would say, luck and also fate. But yes, so I found myself at university, and then after my first year, we got a visiting professor from the MIT, and he basically gave one lecture about postmodern and modern design, where he showed a couple of slides, but majority of the slides had finished designers in them. And let's say out of 50 slides, 25 to, I don't remember exactly the number, but 25 to, I'd say 30 of the slides had finished designers in them, Alto, Eliel Saarinen, and Eero Aarnio, so I was pretty curious, like how can, I mean, I knew about Sweden because Sweden has the second largest population of Ugandans living outside Uganda, second to the UK.
That's right.
Well, but then, I was like, what is this country close to Sweden, and then coincidentally, the Nokia phone had just been launched then. So obviously there were so many coincidences.
Exactly.
So I got to Google about it more. And at the time it had a female president, which also was amazing. And then I couldn't imagine it had more than 100,000 lakes. I was like, what? We have one big lake, Victoria, and, it's already overwhelming. But
that's right.
So, I mean, so many things that just quite appeal to me. And then there was an excellent student who came to Uganda to my university, and then the coffin in the nail was that, education is actually free. I was like, what? Okay. So I did, at the time, education was free for also exchange students. But now I think it's only for EU and EEA.
Definitely, yes. Now it's different. Yes.
But anyways, I applied, and then I came as an exchange student. And then after my BA, I then applied as a master's of art student. So basically, you could say it was fate. You could say it was a combination of fate and, destiny. I've been happy to be here. But yes, so in brief, I would say that's my journey leading up to this point. And probably I should add that, so when I was graduating, how I got into entrepreneurship was my Master of Arts thesis was chosen basically at the University of Art and Design in Helsinki, which was called at the time, it's now called Aalto University. We had this Master of Arts exhibition, which was very crucial for graduates, whereby, at all different levels, for example, obviously the graduates got to display their graduating works and portfolios, and so many opportunities presented themselves in form of, other companies scouting for new talent or manufacturers looking for something new to add to their offering, etc., etc. But I was lucky in the sense that my final work was selected by a committee which oversaw the commercialization of students' final works or ideas. And my work was one of them. I was paired with a company, but unfortunately, that was the beginning. There was a recession in 2007, 2008. So that was pretty much around the time, and the company folded. But prior to that, they'd requested or required me to found a company so that it would be easy for them to pay the royalties as compared to salary. So
that's right.
And that's how, I had founded the company, and all of a sudden, this company had folded. But, so the question was how to proceed, and in a way, if that hadn't happened, I'd probably just have traditionally, just like any graduating student, gone on to just apply for any available job or something like that.
That's right.
But so it gave me kind of a clean slate whereby, I didn't really have any formal ties with this company that I've been paired with. But then I had a company, And so just like Russian swimming school, I had to pretty much quickly figure out, how to proceed. I had to learn all things that come with, founding a company. I had to wear so many hats. I had to be the designer. I had to learn how to negotiate contracts. Et cetera, et cetera, which is really good because, I came out with a 360 understanding, 360 degree understanding of how, I could see the business or the business from different angles, and I could relate. Later on, I got employees to join my studio. I knew what to expect of them because I'd gone through.
Exactly.
So, but of course, I'm saying all this because I'm an optimist in a way that I see the good even. I see good even in the bad. So, but yes, I am really of the thinking that whatever happens to you at a certain point in your life actually shapes you or prepares you, or should shape you and prepare you for the future.
For the future, yes.
As in they say, which follows the saying that it's not a mistake to make a mistake, but it's a mistake.
Exactly.
But yes, so that was 2007 when I graduated, and so until today, I'm happy to tell that the company has grown organically, and I'm happy that it hasn't wavered so far away from the vision that I had in the beginning. Of course, it's usually confusing in the beginning, you're not certain, but you usually have this intuition, which, like I said, I'm glad that haven't wavered so far away from, obviously, the things I didn't know at the time. But still, I've managed to, steer to hit the course and not let any or allow any distractions to take me so far from from the big picture that I had.
Definitely. I think that's very important, what you said, that you are still pushing forward, even though you don't, maybe the situation might not be so supportive, because I think that's how it should be. Many times people jump from one idea to the other the moment they start to see that the environment is not conducive anymore, or they are making many mistakes. But those mistakes are the ones that help you to see the 360 viewpoint of the entrepreneurship around, especially in the foreign country as well. Yes.
Exactly.
Before we go forward, there's so many young people, children around the world, and not necessarily in Africa or in Uganda, whose parents are telling them right now, go and study to become a lawyer. What would you like to tell them? Because I think
it's pretty tough. Right now, I'll use the context of Uganda. So if every parent, let's say, of the graduating students this year, if 30% of their parents said, okay, become a lawyer, and then the other 30% said, become a doctor, and then the other 30 said, or recommended that children became, let's say, engineers. I mean, there's so many left out relevant fields, by relevant, I mean, in the context of Uganda. We need loads of farmers. We have fertile, arable land. We need, of course, teachers and et cetera, et cetera. So Uganda is in a situation right now whereby let's take the legal field. So if there are so many lawyers in an economy which they're very, for one reason or the other, because it's expensive to bring a lawsuit, or it's one doesn't have, or one is not actually not entitled, or one doesn't know that they're entitled to bringing a suit or suing someone if they're wronged, or even the legal system itself by the government is very it's very flawed with corruption, mismanagement. So I can imagine how relevant that can be to an economy, because at the end of the day you'll have your degree as a lawyer, but you can't practice because
Right.
the environment or the ecosystem doesn't allow it. And this applies to all the other so-called regarded prestigious fields. I mean, I'm not against, or parents wanting their children to follow or go for these so-called regarded prestigious jobs, but they have to also know the context of the current situation. One can just assume that, okay, yes, do this because because it sounds good to tell someone I'm a lawyer, but it in actual sense it doesn't sound good, because if you're unemployed and even if you tell someone I'm a lawyer, then it wouldn't really be that meaningful. So
Okay.
I just hope that there's a positive shift in what is regarded as prestigious or success for what is actually success. Can you be a successful farmer? Because for some reason, when I was growing up, if you told someone you're a farmer, they would think that you're the biggest loser. But everybody does food 3 meals a day, if not more. Food now is the most. Let's take for example in Finland, like during the pandemic, the most profitable business were actually grocery stores, and because people still had to eat. They didn't probably have to drive their cars or whatever, but they did actually have to eat. So yes, this is just one example, but of course it's very complex and it's complicated, I know, but still, the underlying factor is that actually, if we respected all trades and professions, there wouldn't be a need, or actually, our countries, African countries, would be far much more developed than they are.
Definitely. I think that's very important, because the world is so open nowadays, and the passions. Children know so much, and they just, if we kind of nurture their passions, they can really create wonders. And just working hard to pass the examinations in order to fulfill what parent wants. But when it comes to design, had you ever thought that you're going to design the product that you're designing currently?
Actually, no. I have a different creative process. Usually, I allow the ideas to come to me. But with that in mind, I'm also my criteria, the most important thing for me is that I don't want to design a product with an archetype, meaning that I don't want to design something that looks like something that has already existed before. Meaning that, of course, if, for example, Itala did this glass, I wouldn't want to design a glass which is similar to this glass. My take on the glass would have to be something different. It would have to be disruptive of the idea of what a glass should look like, for example.
That's right.
And as I don't know if you've seen the diamond-shaped glasses that I designed.
Yes, I've seen.
I don't have any clothes, but You probably can link my website so the viewers can see. Yes, and basically it's what my creative process. I'm asking the question why. Why is a glass supposed to look like this? I mean, of course, at the end of the day, a glass, for example, should be a vessel which should hold liquids. But why should the form always, be as people traditionally know it to be? Why can it be slightly different? Why can a bookshelf, instead of being, something that you just with just a shelf, and then you're supposed to screw to the wall, why can it be like freestanding and with perforated letters in it? Why can't a table be instead of having 4 legs, why can it be 3 planks that don't need any screws or nails to put together? So this is basically my should I say my manual. It has to fulfill all these criteria. There has to be there's a big why I'm doing it, and why it should look a certain way or shouldn't look a certain way, and also it's very important that it doesn't look like, just like I mentioned, like a glass that was previously designed, or a table that was previously designed. So yes, and as I mentioned that, so for example, well, I've been doing this now for over 15 years, so in a way, kind of, it gets easier the more you do it, because over the years I've been doing products from different materials, let's say glass, vitro porcelain, steel, 3D, using 3D different methods, 3D printing. Have some cast aluminum stools and side tables, products in wood. So basically, it gets easier. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that usually I let the ideas come to me, and then I try to modify them in a way that they meet, or they look, they meet or they match my style. But during this process, it's also very important for me because many people are not aware that with any creative field, the most important thing is actually owning the copyright. I must emphasize that if it hadn't been for the fact that I didn't have any protection for my ideas, I would be, even now with the intellectual property protection for the EU and the US, which are the biggest markets, I still have copies from China, for example, mostly from Asia, that I have to deter from getting in the EU. Of course, many people ask that, why didn't you get a patent in China? But many people don't understand that actually most of the things are made there, but they're not consumed there. So they're consumed in the Western market. So, and of course, patenting is not only time, resource consuming, but resources, it can get costly. So I had to choose which, what the priority would be. So, but it's pretty much pretty well. And for the big, let's say, platforms in China, let's say Alibaba or AliExpress or whatever, actually one can enforce their intellectual property rights from anywhere in the world. So basically what this means is that if you see anything on Alibaba, when you have, let's say, an EU registered community design, you just submit that infringing product link, I think, yes, link, because it's usually on the website. And then you just present your design patent or your registered community design, and then they take it down. So, of course, there's some other smaller websites which have their own rules and stuff, which, but largely that has managed to work well. And of course, you have to remember that, there are always going to be copies in the world.
Exactly.
Because even for the biggest brands, let's say Louis Vuitton, they have the holding company has billions, in both revenue and also profits. But they can't uproot all the copies. You're still going to get a fake Louis Vuitton bag somewhere. You know what I mean? So, but to be fair, for example, when I started specifically with these diamond ship classes, in the beginning, when I found that there were copies, I was actually flattered. I was like, "Oh, I did something that someone would actually find interesting to copy." But then, of course, over time, it got out of hand because then prestigious brands started having them. Retailing them. So that's when I had to step in, or my lawyers had to step in and intervene. And then we had to work out other, settlement means and things like that. But yes, so it's pretty much, it's been an interesting journey in a way that it's good to start off with a big picture, but one has to be also easily flexible. Well, for example, during this pandemic time, companies, or I'm meaning from big to small, if they're not really, if they couldn't adapt quickly to still availing their, goods or services online, or in a way that, during the lockdowns, people could still access their offering. I'm sure you've heard and witnessed a lot of bankruptcies. If, for example, I didn't have the IPR, it would mean that, if somebody copies your idea without any registered protection, you can't really do anything about them. The best you can ask them, well, you can't even ask them, because it's then entirely up to them, to either continue selling or non-sell. But with a registered protection, then it's easy to intervene and say, hey, this is protected and it's registered, and you can do this. So, but when this happened in the beginning, for me, it was, as I mentioned, first I was flattered, but then it became very stressful. I was shocked and stressed to find that, the bigger brands, were actually selling these in their branded packaging. I'm, for the sake of confidentiality, I won't mention the companies.
That's right.
So in a way, if I didn't have the protection, I'll be, they would have buried my not only my company, but my dreams and aspirations. If for one time, because you never know, one never knows, and I'm speaking largely here, it's good to prepare on the journey you're going, but one has to be ready for surprises. And when surprises come, you have to, through either experience or consultation, or you have to make it work for you. It can be that it comes in form of a disappointment, and then you completely ditch your journey and then start something else. No, you have to press on. You have to, if you're lucky, or if you can find a way that works for you, given that situation that you're facing, then that's really the most important thing, because there will always be challenges. There will always be unforeseeable things that happen. So, but the way, having a company or founding a company is easy, but actually, going forward, with
maintaining it and developing it is a challenge. Yes, definitely. Definitely. But with a positive mind, you have been positive, because all those challenges that you speak here I mean, if you are not settled and a kind of a think-through person, this could be very difficult to manage.
Of course.
What would you say about the environment? You arrived to study in a country abroad, and then you happened to become a designer. This is one of the best places to design, I would think.
It has a rich history of designers and design.
Yeah, and your product stood out in a sense, so that is a highlight. How has your product been received in Finland, for example?
That's a good question because so basically my if I were to describe Finnish design, I would say it's, as everybody knows, it's minimalist, but my design is a mixture of being minimalist and also my experiences in largely Africa. We have, and by this I mean that it has a huge influence of art and craft. So I marry art, craft, and design together.
That's right.
As I was explaining that for example, glasses look like a diamond. Or my shelf looks like, it has the letters of the alphabet, or my bench looks like a meandering river. So this is something a Finn would hardly, design. So, but, in the spirit of staying true to myself, because like every creative, let's put it this way, every musician should have their own identifiable style. Even without even if it's a new song and you listen to it, you're like, oh, this should be, let's say Rihanna, or should be Madonna, or this should be like Jay-Z, or because that's clearly the style. So it goes with them as well. So in a way, in the beginning, of course, when I was just graduated, I was struggling with it. It's very natural because I was observing what my peers, colleagues are doing, and but luckily I stuck to my my belief, my style. I stayed true to myself, and didn't waver away from what I was doing. This is what I just explained, that it's an amalgam of different experiences, because I was born in Uganda. I've been through the things I've been through. My journey is different from their journey. So and then luckily I allowed myself to think, or in my big picture I saw that the world is basically out there. It may not appeal to the Finnish market, which is at the time, or it still has 5-point-something million people, which is not, and of that percentage, X amount, which actually is the largest, maybe it's all the population, with maybe not so, even if they had the disposable income, but, they probably have the vintage Itala or Arabia, in the closet, so they wouldn't want to, or even if they wanted to, but there's no need for them to, let's say, get new glassware or get new furniture, because they've, but there's the whole world, which of course, for example, you can, from Helsinki, one can jump on a flight and 2 hours they're in London. 2 hours they are in Paris. 6 hours they're in Hong Kong. You know what I mean?
In Japan, yeah, exactly. That's
so. And I by realizing this at a very early age, I just I was happy to not compromise my style, fit or to match the Finnish market. Well, of course, if somebody in Finland, buys or acquires what I do, that's excellent. But the target The core audience, the niche market for me was, it's the G8, G20 countries, which are, outside Finland. And luckily, although most of those countries, for example, have their own national language, such as French, German, Japanese, Russian or Spanish, but still, with the world today, most of the content can be translated with Google Translator, or there's a large percentage of people who actually speak English. So yes, I've still even with the website, for example, in English alone, I've still managed to get emails or correspondence from people in Greenland, for example. Japan, etc., etc. So, of course, it's also goes without saying that I was really surprised that when I just left school, and then I was checking on what my fellow colleagues or my fellow graduates were doing, and their websites, to my surprise, were in Finnish alone, which is okay, but it's still, and even if they had products or ideas that the rest of the world could enjoy, but I think that was, in my opinion, I thought that was limiting themselves too much, because not everybody could readily find, at the end of the day, if I make this class, if I make, let's say, 200, 300 pieces, it doesn't make a difference if 70 are sold in Sweden, 40 are sold in the US, 2 are sold in Canada. It's still the same product as compared to, and by selling them far and wide, they sell fast, and as compared to, let's say, trying to sell these 300 pieces alone in Finland, you realize that the stock of 300 pieces all over the world would move faster than just trying to sell to Finland. So this I was with this revelation, I got to have a concrete belief that yes, the path that I'm on, although I'm based here, I got the education here, and I'm really happy to live here as a naturalized Finn. I'm happy to pay taxes here, but that I can be based here and then
connect with the rest of the world.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, that Finnish design is pretty, very, for example, Alva Aalto is known globally, Eero Aarnio is known globally, Ariel Sal, they actually pretty much made their careers outside Finland. I'm happy to, before actually I came to Finland, I got to learn about, their influence or their, reach. And when I came here, it was very good to continue, not in their footsteps per se directly, but, to be continually be inspired to be a part of a country which, bore so many, because, for example, my US clients are like, oh, yes, we have some Alva Aalto vintage pieces, or we have some Eliel Saarinen, pieces from, let's say, the 60s, 70s, 80s, which is really flattering. So, so it's been amazing in that sense. I've in a way, even as my background being Ugandan, but being based here and living here, and having gone through the education system or the later part of it, and also being in the shadow of these great masters in the design field has been very it has complemented my my career,
Yes.
to say the
The thing
least.
is that, yes, your difference is the one that complemented your design thinking and the product.
Exactly. That my being, thanks. I just wanted to add that, yes, I agree. My being Ugandan, who came, after the formative years in Uganda. So already I had, this foundation, which I built on when I moved here. But luckily, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't allow my being here to be compromised, that I could still take what I took from the good, rich, finished design scene, and I incorporated it with, my pre-existing inspiration, learning.
Intelligent views.
Exactly. So I didn't I in a way stayed true to who I am.
And that's very important, because even if a person is not a designer, I mean, you just being different, you already have seen so many things.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
those things that you have seen will really allow you to shape your ideas into a very, very sophisticated and feasible. It can be a product, it could be an idea on paper, it could be a strategy,
Exactly.
And of course, you can handle international business much better.
Yeah, and
you can handle small talks and this type of things.
most importantly, you will stand out from the competition, because there won't be anybody like you. As compared to you trying to be like, somebody else. That way, the competition is tough, because you are out of your familiar, let's say, ground. Environment. But if you embrace yourself, work with the attributes that make you special, different, stand out, then you basically already outdoing your competition by just not even doing the basics, or but basically being you, already writing off a lot of competition, which puts you forward, so that you stand out from the crowd, and which can translate into maybe better sales, popularity, etc., etc. So embracing oneself is key. Also adaptation, further to that, know who you are, and then whichever situation you find yourself in, you try to, by adapting, I mean that you try to find the good, the ethical in that situation, that applies to you. And this also means from what you're bringing to that situation and what you're finding in that situation and bring to yourself, that
merge them together.
So it's really important. The results of which they're unimitable. You can't imitate something like that, because somebody hasn't. They could try, of course, but they could never be you. So already would a huge selling point in whatever you're doing.
Exactly. And maybe finally, two elements. One, briefly, has there been anyone who said to you that you cannot do that, or like, why are you doing that? It's crazy.
I mean, I've had that a lot of times. First, of course, not in that way that you can't, when I was young in Uganda, it was more like, if I told people that, yeah, I'm really interested in art, and, if I knew what the word design, like the definition of design, and, making things, and like, By art, do you mean that you want to draw stickmen? Because that's the idea of art in Uganda, or was it actually at the time? And then when I came here, of course, it's like someone from Africa. It's like, and even now in the world, there are very few designers of color, people of color. So and then you get like, what, especially in the beginning, like what. What you're studying? You want to be a designer? For me, I would say it's, to say the least, it's fuel. I'm not even disappointed anymore. I'm just like, okay, I'll show you. I can
exactly.
Because when I was younger, I didn't know how to handle this kind of feedback or commentary, or But the older I've gotten, it's like, okay, I'll show you, or just wait and
exactly,
compared to being crushed by this kind of feedback or comments, or
responding by actions, and let people just look and see by themselves that this is possible.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it becomes into their own. It's very inspiring to see that you were able to have this vision really from back home, and still I couldn't think about creating a river-shaped bench, for example. But you kind of really opened up your mind and see what is at home and what could I do here. And I think that's a great showcase, and also the tolerance towards, how do you say, tenacity towards getting to this goal. It's been great, because it feels great to see that there is a designer from East Africa shining into the international arena in that sense. As an East African person, I felt really, really great when I read your post. I don't know how it came to my profile, and I was like, "Wow!"
Was it via LinkedIn?
It was via LinkedIn, definitely. Yeah. So for that, I thought, why not? It's time to cherish and make ourselves as well fly. And I think all what you have said here really can give someone who is struggling or wondering whether can I do this or not a perspective, especially we African diaspora. There's so many. We are all very creative in our own ways, but I think time to time we also listen so much to the external voices that make us,
external voices, yes,
that they make us stop doing. Oh yeah, you're from Africa, so can you really do this? So to my thinking, I think in Africa you have everything. You see everything. It's just a moment of doing that, and if you have right knowledge and environment, why not?
But I must add one thing I forgot to say, which I wish many people were told often, is that, for example, my studio or company started being profitable after 10 years. So this is to ready whoever. This is just an example or a reminder that, of course, if you're lucky, it might happen in 1 year, maybe 2, 3. But you have to be in it for the long term. You can't give up after like 6 months. You're like, tried, and So it's consistency, perseverance, being remaining motivated through, all these challenging times. To tell the truth, I didn't see or picture myself doing anything different from what I'm today, and. With that, I couldn't take any no. I mean that I had to convert that energy, that pessimism into like something that works for me. Like, so yes, one has to be ready for the fact that, it's not going to be just, if you're lucky, yes, there's that small percentage, but you have to really work at it.
Exactly.
Just easily give up. You have to really, really, give it your all to make it work.
Yeah. And I believe that you won't see 10 years if you're too passionate to what you're developing.
Exactly.
So you will just realize that, now things are starting, the aha moment. Yeah. And then when you look back, you realize, okay, this started a long time ago.
Yeah.
And everything has to go with passion. I mean, if we start to just, I know that's a normal expectation of many people starting the business today and being profitable tomorrow and build your first multi-million mansion the day after tomorrow, but it doesn't go like that.
It doesn't.
People have to, it's good to invest it because then you can respect it.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what I believe in as well. The way I started this Inspire Network as well, I say to several people that, I have no time. I'm working full time as well, but I want this to be a platform that 100 years later, someone will watch it, the stories, and see, actually, if this was possible, I can also do that.
And thank you.
The stories which are not expiring, which means it can be after 100 years, then this becomes a television or, who knows? Yeah. But these are the things that I think many people have to really be told to see that it's a slow processing, preparations, creating a platform, then start realizing the dreams.
And thanks again for having this platform and helping me reach your audience. It's through endeavors, just like you mentioned, endeavors such as this that you don't know of what input, impact, and how it would actually develop in the long run. But as we were talking in the beginning, that it's not of any financial resource or input for you, but that, and then I retorted by saying that not everything of direct financial gain is actually the most important thing. That one never knows how, for example, this or the talks that you've had are going to inspire, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and then probably those people will also, inspire, a dozen or so more people. So
definitely. This has been really, it's been really, really, really great to have you into this platform, and
thanks for having me.
I'm very much looking forward to follow up with your designs. I think we discussed a bit, and after the COVID, maybe you have some new developments. You're going to have a physical showcase somewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
But maybe we will visit live someday.
Sure. You're more than welcome.
So we can also display your products. Of course, with this interview, we are also going to showcase your details, contact details, and anyone from anywhere around the world can also contact. It's a small platform so far, but I must say that every discussion I have made so far, it has created a certain impact, and I'm surprised how. Even though I don't have all those thousands of viewers, but there has always been impact in every of the interviews or discussions that I do. So I'm really hoping that there can be even more in the future. And I'm rooting for the African diaspora so much that we can also be more and more engaging ourselves into these creative works and much more works that also bring some sort of change of perspective, because you are changing the narrative right now, and I think this is really, really.
Thank you.
I must thank you very much for this time, and I think we will definitely be in touch in the near future as well.
Sure.